So I'm so thrilled, ladies and gentlemen, to be standing here with the gentleman who was cast in this show in the role of Roy Disney, Andy Umberger from Broadway. Andy, welcome to BroadwayWorld TV.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Sir?
I'm good.
Are you excited?
I am. I'm very excited.
Yeah? I mean, this is a day before previews we're doing this piece.
Yes,
and
indeed.
It'll be your first time in front of an audience tomorrow night.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yes?
I think we're ready for it. Yeah. The tech process in this one was quite long, being a new piece, and we pushed back a couple of previews, and I think it's a good thing. And we're ready now, and I think we're ready for an audience.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Not a lot of information about Roy. There's a ton of information and material about Walt, but very little about Roy, and a lot of it seems to be secondhand. Dean McClure, who wrote the piece, he has a lot of experience and has some really interesting stories to tell about Roy. And I think the challenge for Roy in this piece is he seems to come off as sort of the antagonist. He's always trying to rein Walt in, because Walt was, he's a genius, a visionary, and with that came this lack of the ability to sort of see the world in practical terms. And Roy was always trying to do that. And in reality, Roy really wasn't holding Walt back. His frustration came from, he understood that Walt had these great ideas. How was he going to get the money to fulfill that idea? And that's really what Roy, and he was great at it, really. I mean, he came up with some wonderful ways to get the money and to help Walt create his dreams.
So in the end, being Roy Disney was a very important role in Walt's life. I mean,
absolutely.
That character, or that person, led him there to success.
Yeah, and Roy would later say that Walt made him a millionaire, because he said had he listened to himself, they wouldn't have done half of what Walt dreamed of. And so,
Nice.
Yeah, it was a good partnership.
Well, I wish you a wonderful run here in the show at the Freud Playhouse on the campus of UCLA. We're excited to have you here in Los Angeles opening. Seems logical it should be here.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
But thank you for stopping by BroadwayWorld TV.
Thank you very much.
Andy Umberger, ladies and gentlemen. How lucky am I? I'm standing here with the star of the show, Tim Martin Gleason, who plays the role of Walt Disney in When You Wish, the Walt Disney story. How are you, sir?
I'm great, man. How you doing?
Are you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
A little tired, but
that's par for the
right,
course,
that's
right?
exactly right. Yeah.
Even though he looks like he's about 23, 24 years old, which you may be for all I know, but he has a wealth of experience.
Right.
And is notably known for his participation in Phantom of the Opera.
Right, I did Phantom for a long, long time.
As the Phantom, and also as Raoul.
That's correct.
Right?
Yep.
In the U.S. National Touring Company. I think you did it, you broke a record there, didn't you?
Well, I broke the record on Broadway. I did it with 4 different companies, including Broadway. I played Raoul more than anybody else in history.
How many times was that?
It was over
someone
3,000,
else.
It was something like that. It was. I think it was just under 3,000 actually. But somebody came up to me with that stat once.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't something I compiled, and someone came up and I was like, that's a bit of a dubious honor, but I'll take it.
So what a departure from a role like The Phantom or Raoul, and now to Walt Disney.
Right.
In a musical that has never been attempted by anybody else until Dean McClure's version of it here.
That's correct.
So that's kind of an honor. Actually, you made headlines today on BroadwayWorld all over the country as being cast as Walt.
All right. Good to know.
It was nice. It was nice to see that.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things where, recently I've told a few people what I was doing, and they take that step back. They're like, wow. And I haven't had a chance to do that yet. Because,
kind of daunting.
Yeah, and maybe it's a good idea not to take that step back, because we're so involved in getting it up and getting it done that, you haven't really had a chance to take a step back and look at it. And maybe I'll do that when it's done.
Right.
And go, wow, that was pretty amazing that I got to do that.
Well, but you must have a personal sense when you're going through it in rehearsals, when you feel like, now I've nailed this, I know where I am here, or you're given a different piece of direction that perhaps you didn't think about that leads you to another direction.
Absolutely.
Which is a part of the process.
Absolutely. And what's so great about Larry's one of those directors that allows for the actors' input.
Yes.
I actually just did Sleepless in Seattle over in Pasadena.
Which I saw you do.
Oh, great. Yeah. And Sheldon was the same way. Sheldon, who directed it, both these guys, they love your input, and you feel so appreciated as an actor.
So for no other reason than what we're talking about, you must come and see this man's performance, because he's not only an amazing actor, but he's a glorious singer, and I do mean that in the most sincere way.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
You have got a score to make sound just as glorious as you can sing it.
Thank you so much, man.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care.
How can it be as close as the nearest foam? It's all just paper and ink. if you need cash.
We just got through speaking to Roy Disney in When You Wish, and now we have the pleasure of speaking to Mrs. Roy Disney, at least in the musical. Melissa Fahn. How are you, Melissa?
Hi, Michael. Good to see you.
It's nice to see you, too. You know her from Broadway and Wicked and so many theater musicals across the country and voiceover work that she does on television and for film, and now she's here doing this amazing musical.
Yes, it's wonderful.
When You Wish.
It's When You Wish.
Yeah.
Dreams are coming true.
And how did this happen for you? I mean, were you submitted? Did they call you? How did they find you?
Yeah, my agent called, and they had submitted me for the part of Edna, and which is Roy Disney's wife.
Right.
And I went in for an initial audition, sang and read, and then I got a call that I was going to come to a callback for the same role. Then I got a call from Larry Raben, and he said, I wanted to give you a call before we sent you the offer that we want you to play Edna, but there's a twist. We would like you to also play Flora Disney, which is Walt and Roy's mother, at the top of the show. And she sings the title song, When You Wish, and it's beautiful. And he said, Melissa, I would love for you to do this because that's my favorite song in the show. So I thought about it, and I thought, you know what, this is fun. It's fun. When do you get to go in and actually play two solid roles in a show, and an original show? So it's kind of a treat for me.
And especially one that has a score, really as beautiful as this score is.
Oh,
I must say, when I sat through the run-through last night, because we're just on the final rehearsal before opening in previews here, but I was so taken aback by the beauty of the score.
Yeah, the music is lush and beautiful and meaningful,
Yes.
and it's
And how
a
well
pleasure.
you sing it.
how well I sing it?
Yes, how well you sing it.
Thank you. No, it's
Absolutely.
lovely to do, and it's really a treat. Like I said, not only to play two roles, but to do an original show.
Well, I can't wait to see the opening and see you up there on that stage. And
Thank you.
I wish you the
Val.
best of luck and a
you.
beautiful run in the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Melissa
Thank
Fahn,
you.
ladies and gentlemen. How much do I love my job? This is how much I love my job. The beautiful and talented Brandy Burkhart. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having
Nice
me.
to see you again. We've met only once recently,
Yes.
but here we are at the Freud Playhouse in UCLA and a new musical.
Yes.
How do you feel about this?
It's so
it's gotta
exciting
it's gotta be
work-
exciting, right?
To be working on a new piece that's never been on its feet like this is really exciting.
And the role that you're playing, tell us about that. And how did you prepare for this?
Well, I play Lillian Disney, who meets Walt after he comes to
Right.
Hollywood, and they work together. So it's a little office romance thing that happens, and then they live happily ever after, Disney style.
But she says that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it's actually true.
It is true. You can't get better than these two. I mean, they
Right.
have fun together. They play together. It seems like they had it figured out.
It seems that she was the yin to his yang, so to speak,
I think
and
so.
kept him kind of on track when
I think
he
of
needed
them.
to
I
be.
think of them like a kite, and the person who flies the kite. Like Walt
Right.
was the kite. He needed to fly, and he had all these great ideas, and he wanted to soar, and she kind of helped ground him, like as his brother did.
Yes, and being an artist yourself in real life, I'm sure that you can relate to that, and perhaps other relationships in your life that you've been through with other artists and
Certainly.
very special breed of people, artists, right?
Definitely.
And you kind of have to, I think, understand them to really make it work, and for them to understand you too. And it seems that this relationship in this show, that's what took place. They understood each other, even though sometimes it was like pulling teeth, I think,
Yes,
at
of
least from what
course.
I've seen so far.
Of course. I mean, when you're with a visionary, how can you see all the colors in their head?
Right.
You can't. So you have to kind of let it develop and see where it goes.
And this is part of the wonderment of this show, in my opinion, is that most people don't know that much about his private life.
That's
and,
true.
What went on between he and his wife, or he and his brother, or he and his co-workers, and
he
his
with
successes.
his business.
Yes.
I mean, he wasn't a very good businessman.
Right.
But it turned out okay in the end.
Exactly. I mean, one thinks of his successes, but they don't know about the failures along the way.
Exactly. It's good. There's going to be some surprises, I think, for people.
I wish you great success.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Brandy Burkhart. I'm standing here with the man himself, the man who wrote this beautiful show. And I'm going to introduce you to him now, Dean McClure. Dean, welcome to BroadwayWorld TV. Thank you for having us
My
here.
pleasure.
And being a part of something that is a first, the story of Walt Disney.
It is the first, indeed.
And this has been a process for you that has lasted for many years, actually. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, it was quite a number of years ago. My wife and I had gone to Disneyland to watch our daughter dance in a parade. Since she was a child, it was her dream to one day dance in a Disneyland parade. And we're watching the parade go by, and I suddenly had this thought, a voice in my head said, why hasn't someone done a Broadway musical on the life of Walt Disney? Mm-hmm. And it was like, duh. And it seemed like a natural to me. I just thought it was a great idea. He always seemed to be a showman to me. And I spent 18 months writing, researching, writing the first draft, writing some of the initial music for the show. Mm-hmm. And I took the concept to film producer Larry Gordon, who produced Field of Dreams, among many other films. And he told me it was the greatest idea he had heard of in 20 or 30 years.
With some 18 songs are in the production as we speak now, and I know that you've written probably more than that, right?
There are a few songs that we've taken out of the show because we've changed elements of the show. Mm-hmm. They become what you call trunk songs, and maybe they'll appear someplace some other time. And it's been a wonderful process to be surrounded by such incredibly talented people, choreographer, director, who have given me great ideas, better ideas than some of mine. My wife has assisted me at times when I get stuck on lyrics. I wanted to give her credit. She said no, she'd just rather have a steady stream of shoes.
Listen, thank you so much for stopping by BroadwayWorld TV. I wish you the best of luck with this project.
Thank you so
very,
much.
very successful run.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not just here, but forever.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm so pleased to introduce you to not only two friends of mine, but two of the most talented people I know in Los Angeles. And standing directly next to me, Lee Martino, one of the great choreographers and directors in Los Angeles. And I can say the same thing about Larry Raben, who is the director of this event that we're talking about today. And Larry is also a wonderful performer. So he's seen both sides of it, and he brings the best of the wealth of his experience, as does Lee, to any and every project that you're involved in.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome, and I mean that sincerely. So tell me, has the journey been like for both of you so far with this project? It's been a rapid journey, I know, and,
It has.
and somewhat,
It
and
has.
We got brought on in April, and the project has grown and changed and morphed in wonderful ways.
Yes.
Ways that we couldn't imagine when we first started the journey. It's great to have source material like Walt Disney.
Of course.
And his wealth of films and the songs and the stories that go along with that. We had to find a way to tell the story using theatrical means and without trademark infringements and without
Certainly.
copyright infringements. So it's really opened us up creatively for how do you tell the story of this person
and
without
part
using
of
his
the
drawings.
challenge, I think, with a piece like this is the fact that you're working on a subject matter that has never been attempted before for the stage, about
Right.
an iconic human being, for not only our generation and generations before us, but for all those that will come after.
Yeah.
And you're really putting your thumbprint on
It's
this.
universal. Yeah,
Exactly.
he's universal.
But from a perspective here that Dean McClure has written about, and how you've taken that and turned it into what is now a true musical. I think it's amazing and thrilling. I was thrilled to be sitting in this theater last night
thank you.
watching the dress.
Yeah, that's great.
One of the dress
Yeah.
rehearsals. We're in the
So are
last
we.
night of rehearsals.
So are we, yes.
We're happy
To be
get there.
sitting
Yes,
upright.
yes.
Right?
And we can't wait to have an audience.
Yeah, it needs an audience, and the material is so inspirational. So it's
How do you two work together? How do you?
She completes me.
She does.
and he completes me.
Yes. Is it that simple?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
Do you
It
kind
is.
of finish each other's sentences?
All the time.
Well, we barely even talk. We finish each other's thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's good. I rarely had that experience, and it's really nice
Yes.
to have a choreographer that is all about storytelling. And because Lee is a director herself, she has total vision on it, and it's not myopic.
We couldn't have a better cast, and
Yeah.
the source material was great. I love that Dean has
unearthed, these great stories about how Walt Disney got to be who and what he is. I had no idea when I read it.
Right.
Lee didn't. Most of the cast
Nor did I.
didn't know anything about this. And he's done a really loving job of taking this story and with all of its drama and its pitfalls, it's, the quintessential story of the American dream, an inventor. And
With his knowledge, with Dean's knowledge and his heart for the material, it's enabled us to also have that sort of knowledge and heart as well in presenting it.
Well, I think that's one of the key words that Lee just said, heart. And it's very, very apparent. It's apparent in the music and in the script. I think for me, mostly in the music, because I was telling Dean himself that it's the score that I listened to is something that I actually remembered as I left the theater.
Oh, that's
throughout the
fantastic.
day.
Yeah.
Because there are these soaring ballads and these beautiful ensemble pieces, and the closing number of the show. All these. It's
that's
just
a beautiful
something that Broadway
song.
doesn't do as often anymore.
And well,
Absolutely.
that comes from Dean as well as his wife Helen. Their hearts are so in this material, and it's very apparent. And
It is.
they are quite a team as well.
Wow.
So that's inspirational for us to have a team at the top, and then it sort of filters down.
And just as inspirational to have a team like these two. So make sure that you come down to the
never leave me.
make sure you come down to the Freud Playhouse sometime between now and November 3rd and see this amazing piece of work about Walt Disney. You'll be glad that you did. Bring the children. It's all about live theater, ladies and gentlemen. Make it your business to come out and see it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Michael.
My pleasure, as always.
Thanks.
I'm so excited because this man is not only a friend of mine, but he's also a wonderful actor, and he happens to be an Ovation nominee this year for his performance in Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah,
The
and in
role of
Parade.
Max. And Parade, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate.
How often does that happen? Two nominations in 1 year? Has it happened to you before?
It did. It happened to me once before.
Fantastic.
Sweeney and the Eston Coppet Phantom. And these are actually my 6th and 7th nominations, and I have not won anything.
Oh,
and
okay.
so they have to open up a new category, most nominated
kind of
and never receiving.
Like the Susan Lucci category.
The Susan Lucci category, the always a bridesmaid category.
All right. All of his work deserves an award, regardless of whether it's sitting on his desk or not, because I vote for you. So, listen, you're in another fantastic show. This time it's an original show. It's never been done before, based on a subject matter that many people, one would have thought it would have been done by this time.
That's what we all think.
Yeah.
It's like, really, one's never been written about Walt Disney.
And what Norman does so well in this show is he plays multiple characters in it, not just one, but you bring how many? 10. Good Lord. And they are distinctly different.
Yes, I say good Lord every night,
Yes.
just as I face that. Yeah.
But distinctly different. And I told you last night one of my favorite characters that you do is the maestro. He's,
The conductor, yeah.
The conductor, yeah. Very, very funny stuff.
Thank you.
So are you having a good time?
I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, the opportunity to create something from the get-go is a fairly unique experience, because obviously it costs money to put on a musical, and it takes time to develop it.
Yes,
so
it does.
the opportunity to create something from scratch is rare and a very welcome joy.
And going on stage and having to be responsible for creating all of these different characters, that's no small,
They're small characters,
assignment.
but it's not a small assignment because
exactly.
they have to be varied substantially. Otherwise, the audience is wondering what that guy is who's always out there.
Larry Raben, as the director, did he give you free rein on creating these characters?
Yes, Larry's given me an enormous amount of latitude in this, as you might be able to tell from some of the things that I do. I've been given perhaps too much rope, and we'll see how much I dangle from that rope.
Well, he dangles pretty well, that's what I can tell you. I saw it last night in rehearsal, and I'm so looking forward to it opening. Thank you for stopping by Broadway World TV.
It's my
we wish
pleasure.
you the best of luck with the ovations.
Thank you.
We'll be rooting for you. Okay?
Thank you.
Norman
Thank you.
Lodge, ladies and gentlemen. When You Wish, the story of Walt Disney, is being presented at UCLA's distinguished Freud Playhouse Wednesdays through Saturdays at 8 p.m. with matinees at 2 p.m. on both Saturday and Sunday through November 3rd. For tickets, visit Ticketmaster.com or call UCLA's Central Ticket Office at 310-825-2104.